right, we'll go ahead and get started. And for those folks that are still joining us, they'll join us when they can. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our Interning Outside the Box Imagine 2021 session. We are halfway through week 4 of a 5-week Imagine 2021 program. Crazy to think that we are halfway through week 4 already, which means that classes are starting next week, which is crazy. We thank you so much for joining us today. We have some amazing folks on the line that are going to talk to you with you all about interning and kind of what that process looks like at Oswego. Just a couple logistical items. If you have questions throughout the session today, I'm going to ask that you throw your questions either in the chat or the Q&A function that you'll see within kind of the bar with the Zoom. We'll answer those throughout the presentation, as well as we'll have some time at the end to address those questions. So if you have questions about specific things as we go along, throw them in the Q&A and pay attention to the chat for links and some other information that my co-host will be sharing with us. We do have a networking event, a networking fair coming up on Wednesday, February 10th. As our week 5 of Imagine 2021. So if you are interested in attending that event, you do need to pre-register, and the information will be thrown in the chat for that. Also, if you're interested in getting one of these fabulous prizes to help you stay warm during the winter at SUNY Oswego, we ask that you pay attention to our Instagram at Higher Oz. Tomorrow, there will be a post around noon giving you the chance to list the 3 tasks that you've completed of the week 4 checklist and tag 3 of your friends for a chance to win one of these fabulous prizes. All you have to do is comment on the 3 things that you completed on the checklist and tag 3 friends, and you're automatically entered. So keep an eye out on our Instagram page for that opportunity. And we have 2 panelists and participants joining us today. So a huge thank you to Tina Cooper, our internship coordinator, for her interest in doing a session today all on interning outside the box and really thinking about internships possibly in a different light than how you have in the past. And we have Tiffany Pena. Did I say it right, Tiffany? Yes, awesome. She's a current graduate student studying school counseling, is going to talk to you a little bit about how she created an internship as a rock star student. So thank you all so much again for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to turn it over to Tina.
Thank you, Christy. And let me just go ahead and get this pulled up. Hope everyone's doing well this evening on this lovely Wednesday. All right. Let's see here. Hoping you can see that. I'm going to look at my other panelists here. Tiffany, you can see that okay? All right, thank you. So I'm Tina Cooper, and I'm really, really honored to be able to offer a session to you guys on internships. I am your internship coordinator at SUNY Oswego. I'm also a SUNY Oswego alumna of 2015. Internships are my daily life, and I really enjoy talking to students about internships and helping you guys with that process. So internships are a common word that many of you hear, oftentimes even in high school. It's something that you probably came into college having an idea of what an internship might be, or your own perception of what internships might be. Common related depictions of internships that I hear often most times, especially students that are coming in as maybe even freshmen or transfers that have not done an internship at a previous school, would be opportunities that allow you to solidify your career goals. They're often major related. The biggest thing that I hear from students about maybe why they want to do an internship is they want to build their resume. And oftentimes internships are thought of as kind of like miniature jobs. These are commonly related depictions. Are these correct? Absolutely. These definitely play a role when it comes to internships. However, I do want to talk to you about other areas of internships tonight that a lot of students aren't really thinking about as commonly. For example, experiential learning. What is experiential learning? A lot of times, especially in my office, because at SUNY Oswego, I work for experiential courses and engaged learning, called Excel. If you ever hear that office, it's the Excel office at SUNY Oswego. So experiential learning is really our entire game. Experiential learning is the process of learning through experience. Wonder why they call it experiential learning, right? Essentially, it's more than that, though. It's the reflection and what comes out of each of those experiences that builds upon itself to really gear your path. And that path can be academic, that path can be career, but experiential learning really is a broader topic that applies to a lot of different areas of life, not even just academics. So with that, I bring you Tina Cooper. This is me at one of our recent career fairs, I believe about a year and a half ago. Tina Cooper, like I said before, I'm an alumna of 2015. I'm an internship coordinator, and I work at SUNY Oswego, which is your institution. From that, you're probably thinking a few things that you can assume, right? SUNY Oswego graduate, okay? I work with probably students and employers because I'm an internship coordinator and I plan internship programs. A lot of that is what's known about me just based off of my a common intro, the way that people know me, and the job role that I hold. A lot of things that are the tip of the iceberg about what people know about me, as far as what I think anyway. So some of the things that you might not know about me, or even my colleagues might not know about me. I was actually a biochemistry graduate, 2015 of SUNY Oswego. I'm an ex-nuclear operator and an ex-patient care advocate for specialty pharmacy. I'm an Etsy artist. I have my own Etsy shop and I have my own paintings. I'm a new mom. I love photography. I actually just recently got into photography. And a fun fact about me, I could live on pizza bagels. The reason I tell you guys little things like this is I want you to understand that every single one of you at SUNY Oswego is going to have, and currently has, so much that plays into who you are, and so much that's going to play into your college experience. Many of you think of your college experience as one main thing, the major that you chose. I'm here to tell you that I personally believe experiential learning is one of the biggest factors for SUNY Oswego students and any college student that really impacts you realizing, especially before you leave SUNY Oswego, that yes, your college major is extremely important, but it is not the only thing that defines you, all right? Many college students even get to the end of their college career thinking, okay, now I have this college major, I have this degree in this one area, I have to go do something in that area. Many of them hopefully have done internships by that time to help them define other areas about themselves, other areas about the career that they want to see. And I'll get into those different components that you should be looking for to help you make those decisions. But for example, the reason I tell you this stuff about myself is because my career trajectory is very different, just like many of yours will be. One of the most common things I love to do when I am in a room full of admission students, for newly admitted students or prospective students and their parents, oftentimes I will have that room for the parents or guardians. I will have them raise their hand if they ended up in a career that was vastly different than the major that they went to college for. Many times, at least half of the room is raising their hand by that time. And the reason I say that is because it's just so common to see so much more than just the academic component play into a career path. There are many things that I have done with my career and many paths that it's taken, and there are so many more ways that I could probably grow my career. My path is going to be so much different from everyone else's. And when I enjoy telling my story to students like you, because you're going to find it's okay if yours is not what you thought it was going to be, because oftentimes a lot of things aren't. So your path, like I said before, is yours alone. When I was in college, like I told you before, I was a SUNY Oswego student. I majored in biochemistry. There were a lot of things I took away from biochemistry. You can probably infer that I don't necessarily use my laboratory experience every single day that I'm currently your internship coordinator. But there were certain things that I learned from that experience that geared me into wanting to work in higher education. I was able to travel when I was at SUNY Oswego. I was able to complete internships when I was at SUNY Oswego. I was able to volunteer and be a part of clubs when I was at SUNY Oswego. I was able to have a part-time job when I worked at SUNY Oswego. And even after SUNY Oswego, I had jobs that did relate to my major. All of these different experiences I reflected upon. All of these different experiences were experiential learning, maybe not in the sense of being a formalized internship, but I can tell you, if you look in the bottom left-hand corner where it says career services go beyond, that experience, I was a part-time student. Again, I was a biochemistry major, just trying to have a job on campus that helped me pay my bills. I worked for career services as a student for 3 years as a program assistant, and I ended up being able to utilize that job later on. What I now know was actually a pseudo internship, because that is the role that ultimately made me able to be working in higher education later on. So again, all of these experiences do compile to something. Whether or not you know that they relate right now, that's okay, but get out there, take part in different experiences during your college career every time they're available to you, because you never know what way it's going to steer you next, okay? So internships, in reality, again, they are a formalized definition in terms of how you actually go through and do an internship. They are a formalized experience with a structure, but in reality, these are what make you unique as a candidate to a potential employer, okay? A snapshot of the future that you want, and let me emphasize this, or don't want. For me, I really wish that I had done more internships in my undergraduate career, because I was one of those students that left college thinking, you know what, I've got to do exactly what my degree tells me to do in my major, and I'm not really sure what that's going to feel like 40 hours a week, full year round, but we're going to do it, and we did. I learned a lot about the things that I didn't want about a job. For example, biochemistry. I'm a very talkative person. I like collaborating. I like having a lot of roles that are different every day, a lot of job variety. My roles in the past taught me that I didn't want to be doing a very similar thing in the lab every day. Very introverted style job that I actually had previous to eventually moving into higher education. Step closer to your vision, or to you creating one. And the reason why I say to your vision or creating one is because you might not have a vision yet of what you're going to do after college. Even if you're a senior, that's okay. I want you to understand that internships really do allow you, not just internships, any type of experience, helps you to craft that a little bit more closely to hopefully maybe gear you towards doing an internship, which is still a commitment. Alignment of your academic training. This is one of the most commonly missed aspects about internships, which is interesting to me because it's one of the core components of the definition of an internship. If you do have a major and you have chosen a major, whether you're strong in that choice or you're not strong in that choice, it's important to be relating the internship back to your academics, because the whole point of you being in college is to be able to get a job with that major after. Development of professional aptitude. How are you going to collaborate with coworkers? How are you going to have a dynamic with a potential supervisor? How are you going to make deadlines for yourself, have a work ethic that you're proud of, make sure that you're driving projects to completion and taking initiative in your first job after college, or many jobs after college. Internships are great because I often tell students that you need to be reminded that in college, you are constantly learning. And many students, including myself included before I graduate, made the mistake of thinking that after they graduate college, the learning stops. The learning doesn't stop. Internships help you develop a professional aptitude for understanding that the learning keeps going. The reflection keeps going. Everything that you do in a job after college, you're going to have to reflect on and build upon. Okay, so internships are just the very, very start of that. Strengthening of personal character. Are there certain areas in your personal character? Maybe you are someone that wants to work in a profession that might involve being a very extroverted person and having to portray, I'll give an example for myself. When I used to interview or talk with employers, I used to speak very quickly. I had a very difficult time articulating my thoughts. I still speak quickly, so I'm still working on that, even almost, over 5 years after graduating from college. But there are many things that I found in myself that I've grown in my personal character. I'm a very impatient person. Working in an internship and collaborating with other people in an internship helped me work on that, helped me work on understanding other people's timelines, not only self-satisfying my timelines for my role. There are a lot of different components that you want to make sure you're taking account of as you're completing these experiences, because you're gaining a lot more than just a resume builder. All right. So briefly, I do want to talk a little bit about what the internship program at SUNY Oswego offers and what it is. Because at SUNY Oswego, we have a formalized internship program for all undergraduate majors to participate in, as well as my office, Excel, does oversee some of the graduate programs as well for the credit aspect. So at SUNY Oswego, we have students that are completing credited internships as soon as the summer after their sophomore year. With internships, you can earn anywhere from 1 to 12 credits in the larger semesters like fall and spring and summer. And we do also have a 1 to 3 credit internship option, which we like to call winternships. I know, we're so funny like that. Internships are graded HSU, not with a typical traditional letter grade, and they're not calculated into a student GPA. Again, you do need to be junior senior status with a minimum of a 2.5 GPA to participate in the internship program. I will tell you that there are some departments that have actually higher or lower requirements regarding the GPA for an internship. You will find that some of the undergraduate programs at SUNY Oswego have a required internship program where you are taking place in 1 or even sometimes 2 internships that are embedded into your degree program, in your degree works. Co-ops are another type of internship. I won't be touching a lot on co-ops today, just because of the nature of this presentation, but just to give you a brief overview, we do oftentimes see many co-ops in the STEM and business areas that are paid 40-hour a week opportunities for students, where it's a true embedding of what it feels like to be at a site 40 hours per week, anywhere from 12 to 26 weeks, and you actually maintain your full-time student status with SUNY Oswego. If you are interested in co-ops at any point after this presentation, please reach out to us at Excel, because we do have another, my coworker, Sheila Cooley, our associate director, could speak with you about co-ops. So again, that's just a little bit of information about internships. Anytime you see a 498, that is an internship in any type of degree program. So at SUNY Oswego, we do have phases that are available to students to help them through the internship program. And the phase I really want to talk to you about today is phase 2, which we call normally search and apply. But in this case, it's going to be or create your internship, get the creation of your internship locked down. And quite frankly, I might actually suggest to our department, I know my director is probably watching, that we actually update that, because it is important for students to know that it's not just search and apply. It does mean that you can create your own internship, which is common. So internships, and we're gonna, I mean, every time I come up with a theme, like intern outside the box, I gotta stick with a theme, right? So internships and the box method. I wanna be clear when I tell you that the box method that I'm referring to does not mean that it is a bad method. It is just a certain method that you should use for certain situations, for certain industries and majors, and it might fit for you. Creating your internship is just another option that we're going to dive into, and also hear from one of our alum and current students about how it does work. So it is available. So the box method that I'm referring to, if we take a closer look, starts with searching. So a lot of times you're seeing and hearing about sites like Indeed.com or CareerShift or Hire Oz by Handshake, and all of the databases and career services management systems that are offered by our school to help you get out there and look at opportunities that have been posted formally with an application process by employers. So you're searching, you might be working with a career coach to search for an internship. You might be working with a navigator who are interns in the career service office in the Compass to find an internship. And then you're doing a formal application process, whether that employer is requesting a resume or a cover letter or both, or a portfolio. And again, there's an online system that you're actually formally applying to. You're clicking on apply, you're uploading documents. And after that point, if you're selected for an interview, you're able to go through that process and then accept that internship. And then we work with you to get credit for it. That's the traditional method. That's the method that many students know about, which is fortunate that many students know about that method. But the unfortunate part about that is I want you to understand that it's not the only way. I often talk about, when I'm referring to how to search for an internship and thinking outside the box for an internship search, I commonly refer it back to my time actually in elementary school and middle school, when I'm thinking about what we used to call ELA writing, or English language arts writing, when they taught me to write an essay. And I still remember being taught how to write an essay when I was in elementary school, and they had this piece of paper that they gave me. And that piece of paper was very structured, and it told me exactly what to write for my first sentence. My body paragraph had to be 3 to 5 sentences with exactly this type of content, and that end paragraph. And at the time, looking back on it, I know that that template was given to me because I had no idea what to do without it. But what I realized is that later on in my life, it took me a little bit longer than I would have liked to break away from that template or that traditional way of thinking about how to do something when there might be multiple ways of doing something. So I want you to always, as you're doing an internship search, if there's something that makes sense to you that could be done, do it. If there's something that you're realizing that you might not just be doing because of it, it might take a little extra work or a little extra time, I can almost promise you that taking that little extra work or time is going to be the reason you get the internship or the reason that you're able to create the internship. All right. So those are the candidates that employers want. So which could be you. The traditional applications, again, traditional applications, I'm referring to this method. Traditional applications, a lot of times, this is where the logic comes in. Traditional applications or experience by design being your two big options here. Experience by design is what I mean when I say create your own internship, and traditional applications is your box method. So box method is often used by corporations, larger companies, paid industries. Competitive internship programs are often paid because, again, if they're a paid opportunity, they're probably going to have more people apply to them, right? Traditional application method is utilized often too by corporations or organizations that have a human resources staff. Human resources are very good at recruitment. We have a human resources management program at SUNY Oswego, and we have some of our alumni that are campus college student recruiters to help get those students into jobs. The reason why they often have these methodologies is because that is the formalized process they were taught. That is the formalized process they utilize. The majors, including STEM and technical areas, marketing, advertising, business administration, finance and accounting, a lot of those areas, because they're trying to fill an opening for a need for a project to be completed for the organization. Again, are all of these opportunities paid? No. Are all of these opportunities what I'm saying in this one little block over here? No. But this is a general rule of thumb. It's really important if you're thinking about your major and your industry and the type of organization that you're working with, because you have to think about these things as why are they being posted this way, and why are they taking applications this way. Experience by design, if you're thinking about the different nonprofits that might not have a human resources staff, you might be thinking about an alum. Maybe an alum has their own business, or it's not a grown business, a startup organization, an organization that many times, actually quite a few alum, because the benefit is often primarily for the student learning experience. Sometimes we have organizations that are looking to have a much more mutually beneficial collaboration. I will tell you that a lot of times if you are a student that is going to an organization and asking for an internship and to create an internship, it might be less likely that they're able to pay you because they weren't seeking out a fulfillment or a need that needed to be completed for that organization. You're going to them and trying to get a learning experience out of it. It's all based on what you're trying to get out of it. And many times the conversations that I'm having in my student appointments, we work through that. We talk about the differences. We talk about, I will tell you, we have had students, including myself. I created my own internship when I was a junior in college, where it was paid internship. And I can tell you how I did that. So I actually went to an organization that I knew had offered paid internships to other schools, but they had never worked with a SUNY Oswego student. So I will get a little bit into more of my process as I move forward through this presentation, but I do promise you it is possible to get a paid internship that you're creating on your own. I'm just giving you a general rule of thumb and the commonalities that I'm seeing across the different industries and across the different majors. For example, fine and performing arts, communications and media, criminal justice, political science, human services. Those are the more common areas that you will see unpaid internships. It really just depends on your personal situation. Also, it depends on the roles and responsibilities of the internship. So before I go too much further into helping you to move forward in your process, I would like to give the floor here to Tiffany Pena, who is an undergraduate graduate, yeah, that makes sense, of 2020, with her Bachelor of Arts in Human Development. Multiple internships, Tiffany, multiple internships during SUNY Oswego time. But I am going to give it away to her for a minute and stop sharing my screen so that she can share hers with you, because she worked in the fall quite hard for about 5 or 6 weeks to create an internship from start to finish on her own. And she'll say some people helped her, but I'm telling you, she really did most of this work here. All right, so Tiffany, I'm going to give it away to you here.
Thank you so much, Tina. Let me get this up. Can you see this, Tina? Yep, okay. So before I begin, again, I want to thank Tina for that introduction, as well as Christine for the earlier introduction. I'm very excited to be here, and I feel very fortunate to be here. So with that being said, I'm just going to get started. So who am I? So as it's been said, my name is Tiffany Pena, but I mainly go by Tiff. My preferred pronouns are she, her, hers. I do identify as Latinx. I come from a very large Puerto Rican family. I was born and raised in New York City, specifically the Bronx. So if anyone's on from the city, shout outs to you. I did graduate spring 2020 with my Bachelor of Arts in Human Development. And I got back to Oswego for graduate school. So now this is my 5th year in Oswego. Now I'm just a graduate student, and I am studying school counseling with the school counseling program here. And as for my work, I currently serve as the program manager for Oz Grand Challenges Academy, which is a grant-funded college immersion experience for rising juniors and seniors in New York City. And that is through the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. So just to discuss about my spring 2020 internship, which to this day, I'm still amazed and in awe that it even happened. So I had the opportunity to create this internship, as Tina has been discussing, and it's something that I'm completely grateful for, and I will forever be grateful for, because it got me to where I am now. So just a little overview about what my internship placement looked like. So my internship was with the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. And the reason why I wanted this internship is because as a student, as an undergraduate student, I saw disconnects in certain areas, and with my student involvement experience, I was constantly working around first year students, and I always saw that some first year students had a little bit of trouble trying to get into what campus life fully is. And so, as you know, first year students are required to live on campus. So I wondered, how can we bridge the two, right? So the goal of my internship was essentially working with student organizations, as well as residence life and housing staff, to basically showcase the unity and diversity that we do have on campus, and to show that, we are just trying to demonstrate that there's so much more to Oswego, and it's just about giving you that little push to really see that. So the process of getting my internship. So fall 2019, yes, right? Yes, fall 2019, I had the opportunity of being an intern with Career Services as a Compass Navigator, which is another internship I highly recommend. But through this internship with Career Services, I was paired with a mentor who was Michelle Banla, who is the director of Excel. So hi, Michelle, I know you're on this call. And so we would have monthly mentoring meetings. And one mentoring meeting, she asked me, Tiff, like, what do you want to do? What's next for you? And I knew I wanted to go into higher education because of my student involvement experience, me being involved as an RA with residence life and housing. I knew at the time, I wanted to work on a college campus. I wanted to be around students and, give students the experience that I had. And having a career internship with Career Services, it only put that more into motion if that's what I wanted. And so Michelle and I had this conversation. I was like, I am very interested in diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's something that I do want to go forth with as a career path, but unfortunately, there's no internships for that. You know, a lot of the internships that I was looking at just weren't things that I wanted to do. Like, for example, I remember there was an internship to work at the Y in Oswego County, and that's just, I didn't see that as beneficial for me. And, you know, the internship that I had to complete was through my degree program. I had to complete 2 internships. So I did one in the fall, and then I was going to do one in the spring. And the spring one was more so supposed to be around what you wanted to do later in life. And so, of course, again, nothing was aligning for me. So by having this conversation with Michelle, you know, she kind of was like, okay, well, I know the Office of Diversity and Inclusion is potentially looking out to branch out with interns. So, you know, kind of let me see what's going on. And that happened. With the help of Michelle Vanla and Tina Cooper, who these are 2 people I will forever be grateful for. They helped me to schedule a meeting with the Office of Diversity and Inclusion with Dr. Rodman King and Annika McAvoy, who's the deputy coordinator. And we got to sit down in Colkin Hall and discuss why I wanted an internship there. And so I basically got to express my reasonings, express my passions. And from the moment that we sat down, I just felt as if this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And with Dr. King and Annika McAvoy and everyone else, I just felt so validated and so supported in that process. And I feel like that was a genuine breakthrough moment for me, to say the least. So yeah, that's how that went. And sorry. So what I want you all to think about, and what I would like to leave you all with, is that it is possible. It may not seem possible because it doesn't exist, but it is possible. And for someone like me who came from New York City, who had no idea of what Oswego looked like or what the opportunities were out here, to know that I was able to create something like that was truly life-changing for me. So push for the opportunities that you want. Again, they can be life-changing. They can help in your professional development. As Tina was mentioning in her experiences, you know, she got to do a lot with her experiences. And through my internship experience, I got to do so much. Unfortunately, it was cut short due to the COVID pandemic, but it got me to the position that I'm in now, you know, and just to see how that all aligned for me was just a breathtaking moment for me. You know, I got to network and meet so many people. I got to attend conferences that I never thought I would be able to attend. So just know that it is so beneficial. Experiential learning is so beneficial, especially when it goes the way that you want. Utilize your resources in any way possible. Again, career services, Excel, love you all very much. Please utilize them in any way possible. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions either. State what you want. Network as much as you can, because you'll never know who's going to be the person to get you in through that door that you need to go to. So with that being said, that was just my experience. I'm, again, eternally grateful for it, and I will always talk about it no matter what. So thank you for listening to me. Thank you again for allowing me to share my experience. Here's my email if anyone ever wants to reach out and ask any questions. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over back to Tina. If I can get out of
Everyone write down that email. Everyone write down that email. She did it. She got on the other side of it.
I'll write it in the chat.
All right. Let me go ahead and get back up here. And we're gonna go back to present. Oh, it's gonna take me all the way back to the beginning. That's okay. Let me just fly through some of these here. sure I'm in the right spot. There we go. All right. Am I good, Tiff?
Yes, you're good.
All right. Very nice. All right. So a couple of things that Tiff mentioned too. The great thing about having both a recent alum and current graduate student on this presentation with me has been, as a staff of the institution, it's oftentimes, even though I graduated in 2015, which in my brain I'm always going to pretend was not that long ago because I don't want to get older, but in reality, as I get away from when I graduated, it's more difficult for me to remember what it feels like to be a student. And there are certain things I do remember, and one of the points that Tiff made was it felt impossible at one point to get to where she wanted to be with an internship, and I cannot stress enough that the resources are really, again, as an alum, what helped me to get past that. In my case, like I told you before, I worked for career services during my undergraduate, and I worked a job on campus for career services because I needed to pay my bills, right? So at the time, I kept hearing things like internships are all unpaid, which is false, by the way. Internships are all unpaid, so you have to carve out time in your life to be able to go do an 8 to 10 hour a week or sometimes 20-hour a week internship, and you're not going to get paid for it. And in my brain, I'm sitting there like, I'm a full-time biochemistry student with a part-time job because I've got to pay my bills. I can't do that. I can't find 20 hours a week. I can't ask my boss here at SUNY Oswego Career Services for even 10 hours a week to carve out to go do an internship. Well, lo and behold, I could do that, and I did do that. And it was actually Career Services that had randomly had a meeting with a specialty pharmacy in Syracuse. And a couple days later, the director of Career Services, Gary Morris, my boss at the time, slaps a business card down on my desk and says, "Hey, the director of pharmacy wants to do an informational interview with you." And I'm like, "What?" So I promise you, if you're scared to have the conversation or you're scared to ask the questions, those are barriers that you're putting up for yourself. And those are barriers that I kind of forgot up until Tiffany mentioning that I put up for myself when I was a student. Crying my eyes out because I didn't think I was ever going to have an internship because I couldn't make it happen. I couldn't afford it. It was unpaid. I couldn't do that. And lo and behold, had conversations, a ton of conversations, had a couple in-person meetings, and formulated my own internship with a site that ended up paying me $13 an hour, which I will remind you at the time, years ago, $13 an hour was especially a lot per hour. It's still over minimum wage now. So I will tell you that it is possible, and opportunities are out there. It just depends on your professional image as well, and how much you're getting out there. So we're going to talk about a little bit about that as we go into these steps. If you are thinking about creating your own internship, because now we're going to talk about not the box method that we've covered, but the out of the box method. All right. So first step to that is going to be a 5-step process here. Goal planning. What is it that you want out of the experience? What is it? And again, I will get into each of these steps in more detail, but to overview this, what is it that you want to gain or learn? Okay. Outlining your vision. It's really important to make sure that you're prioritizing the things that are important to you. You're not going to be able to prioritize everything that's important to you, but there are going to be certain things that you should make sure that you aren't going to budge on for your quality experience. Researching and preparing. What information do you need to get from point A, no internship, to point B, internship that you created and that you're happy with? Be outgoing. Connect and network like you want it. Connecting and networking is something that we talk about a lot, but you have to do those things like you really want it. All right. Writing an email to someone or making a phone call to someone and never following up, that's not what I mean when I say connect and network like you want it. What methods are you using? Have you exhausted all your resources? And the last thing is communicate, okay? Who are the key players to make sure that you are able to finalize this experience that you want to have? Because I can probably guarantee you that there are more than you think. So, goal planning. What is it that you want to learn or gain? So there are a lot of components to this that you want to be considering. Is it academic related, the big piece of what you want to gain out of your internship experience? For example, you are a communications major, a mass communications major, and you want to take a concept that you're learning from a production class and turn it into a video editing skill. You have a specific concept that you learned about in psychology that you'd like to see applied in an actual workplace. Career-related goal. Is it a matter of building a specific industry network? You're looking to get into a certain niche area of an industry, and you're really trying to find an internship. I can give an example with that. I had a student create their own internship a couple semesters ago with an esports network. Esports is a growing industry. We had not had an esports network internship in New York City prior, and the student wanted to create that internship, so we did. It's a matter of, if you have a certain niche area, I can try to think too. I had a student that specifically wanted to work in illustration for children. They wanted to do illustration for children books. So we were able to find an organization in Rochester, New York, for them to do an internship. Again, an internship program may or may not, it might be a matter of creating an internship program with a site that already exists, but just not with SUNY Oswego. Or it might be a matter of creating an internship with altogether a brand new program because a site has never even had an intern. Again, range of situations on that. Is it a personal goal? For example, maybe I'm a student that struggles with public speaking. I'm scared to public speak. Maybe I'm a political science major and I'm scared of public speaking. It's one of the areas that I really struggle with, but really want to break out of that shell. Am I doing an internship where maybe I am an intern in DC, and there is a component to the internship where I am going and speaking with politicians or presenting to different groups? That's a very common aspect of a political science internship. So what is it that you want to gain out of this? And I will tell you that your goals, you can have multiple of those. Your goals should really be the backbone of your experience. So make sure they're clear, because when you're talking, especially if you're creating an internship, one of the first things any employer or site is going to ask you is, why do you want to do this and why here? So outline your vision. Make yourself an outline, whether it's on paper. I'm a very paper, I like it to have it in front of me, drawn out. Outline your vision. Really, really make sure that it is sound in your mind, okay? Things that you have to consider in order to get to point A to point B are going to be timeline. Timeline of the experience. What's going to be the start date and end date that makes sense, especially if I want to get credit for this. Does it meet up with the semester that I'm supposed to be getting credit for this? Institutional. Again, institutional timelines, deadlines for paperwork for internship. Am I doing this before I'm graduating? Is it going to contribute to me graduating? Do I have to meet a certain GPA this semester to get the 2.5 GPA to make sure I can do an internship next semester? Departmental. What are the departmental timelines? Do they have certain timelines for internship that you should be considering? Many do. Mode of internship. Am I going to do an in-person internship? Many students are not doing in-person internships right now because of COVID, because of the pandemic. What mode do you learn best in? Is it going to be in person? Is it going to be a hybrid where you're doing both virtual and remote hours as well as in-person hours? Is it going to be a solely virtual internship? You'll notice on the slide, I do have a few different areas that are starred because I am going to go into depth a little bit more about those components that in terms of the bigger things that you really do need to consider and resources that might be available to you. So virtual internships are on the rise right now, and we'll talk a little bit about the things that you should be aware of. Availability and time management for your internship. What's your available time like? Like I told you before, in my internship, I had a job. I had a part-time, it was 18 hours a week that I was at my part-time job. I was a full-time student. I was president of 2 clubs. I wanted to hang out with my friends and see them maybe once a week at the very least. I volunteered. I wanted to still take part in my volunteering. What is the time that you have available to commit to an internship? Be sure that you are, if you're thinking about maybe doing like a 3-credit internship, and that's going to be 8 to 10 hours a week, do you feasibly have 8 to 10 hours a week that you're going to be able to commit and do a good job at this internship, whether it's in person or hybrid? Taking time management into account. Are you someone that does time management well? If you're doing a virtual internship, but you struggle with time management, are you going to be able to have the self-discipline to do the amount of hours that you need for a virtual internship? Quality components. what are the components and priorities of your internship that maybe even draw back a little bit to your goal planning that you want to make sure are present to make sure that you're having a quality experience? And funding resources. Are you in need of funding assistance in order to complete an internship? What's out there to help you? So going back to, again, that first part that was starred, virtual internship, it's really important when considering a virtual internship to think about the structure of the supervision. Who is the primary beneficiary? Is it you or is it the site? Is it paid or is it unpaid? A lot of times paid or unpaid does matter, and I will get into that in the quality components. What tasks are available? Are you able to meet your goals and complete those tasks virtually? Is it a matter of, are you a chemistry student? Are you going to be able to do a virtual internship? It's probably more likely that you're going to be doing an in-person internship because you have technical skills that have to be done in person. What are some of maybe your, you learn a certain way. Do you have the technology available to complete a virtual internship? Do you have your own laptop? Do you have, do you do well in Zoom meetings? Do you feel that you're going to be communicating well with a supervisor? Does that supervisor seem like they're going to be communicating well with you? Are they someone that has taken 7 days to get back to your first email to them about an internship? Think about these aspects as you're considering virtual internships, because I will tell you, while they are on the rise, they are a learning curve for many sites and employers because they're so new in so many different industries. I really do highly suggest reaching out to me if you are considering a virtual internship or creating a virtual internship, just because there's generally a lot more that goes into me working with the site to make sure that they understand the different components that they're going to be responsible for as a virtual or remote internship supervisor. Does the virtual nature of the internship have an effect on the quality of the internship? And is it going to affect your priorities? And again, we're going to get back into that now. So quality components. Think, what about this experience are you going to prioritize? I'm going to tell you about these 7 quality components. I want you to consider your top 3. What are the top 3 things? Because just like everything, you can't always have them all. Would the perfect internship involve all of these things? Absolutely. And are they out there? Absolutely. But I really want you to consider, if you were to have an internship, if you were to go create your internship tomorrow, what would your top 3 quality components be? Mentorship is the most important thing. I will tell you that you should be considering mentorship as one of your top 3, in my personal opinion, but that might not be the truth for you. Mentorship will naturally come to some degree with every internship. Skill building and relationship building, is that your primary focus? Is that really what you are looking to get out of the internship? Maybe it's a matter of you want to learn the dynamic between an employee and a supervisor and how you might work within your industry for that relationship. Compensation, maybe you were like me and compensation has to be a thing for your internship. It's a matter of you can or can't do the internship if it's not a compensated internship. Flexibility. Are you going to have a flexible work schedule? Maybe you are a student that is you have another part-time job, or you work full-time at a place of work that you are looking to see if they can do an additional amount of roles for you so that you can do an internship, new learning experience, while also keeping your job at that work site. We do offer the ability to work with sites in those areas as well. Hybrid versus in-person, or is it a matter of, are you going to be required to be there? Is it an internship that's going to require transportation in Syracuse and you're in Oswego? Are they flexible to only have you there maybe on site 1 day a week and the rest of your hours are remote as a hybrid internship? Network is what's important to you. Future opportunity with the organizations that might know the people that you're working with and the supervisor that you're working with, and recommendation letters, recommendations for new jobs, new internships, further employment. Is it a matter of company? Maybe I'm I'll use communications as an example again, and I want to go work as an intern for ABC. I want to go work as an intern for NBC Universal because I know a lot about that. It's a very well-known company. I'm going to work really hard to be competitive, to be part of a high status company, but not even just high status company. Maybe it's a company that means something to you. Maybe it is a company that you have known a lot about, you grew up around, you might know people who have worked there, you've heard a lot of good things about, or know other students that have interned there, so you really want to intern there. I don't just mean high status, but maybe for whatever reason, that organization is important to you. Access. Maybe for you, you don't know a lot about your industry and you're looking to do an internship that's a round robin style and gives you access to a lot of different areas around a department. Maybe you're human resources and you want to do a human resources internship that takes you through payroll and takes you through onboarding and recruitment and trainings and work-life balance for employees and the psychology of working in organizational behavior. There are a lot of different areas that you want to cover to maybe figure out, do you want to be an HR generalist or do you want to specialize in one of those areas? Culture, are you looking to have a certain type of environment? Example, for me, did I want to continue working in a lab? Did I want to continue working for a company that had a much more structured day-to-day outline, or did I want an environment that was much more fluid based off of what I needed to get done that day? There are so many different aspects to culture. I could go on about company culture for a very long time, and I will digress on that. But these are the areas, the 7 areas that you really need to think about. I really want you to pick your top 3 if you're thinking about doing an internship anytime soon. So, funding resources through SUNY Oswego. If you go to our oswego.edu/internships page, you will click on internships and co-ops and click on funding resources, and you will find that we have multiple funding resources available to you to assist you with your internship. I will tell you, Feinberg Family Professional Fund is the one that has been around, that is for multiple students. Any student can apply that is eligible to do accredited internship. They are able to earn up to gain up to $500 towards an internship or co-op. I did include a couple areas that funding can count towards. We do have the James F. Rogers 76 Internship Fund that was recent, that will be $1,000 awarded to one School of Business major, and that can count towards any education-related expenses, which will be given to the student a semester after the completion of internship. More information on these bottom 2 funds that are coming as well on our page. You will see if you go to our page right now that they are listed, but it does say more information coming in terms of the guidelines and the application process. Right now, I believe we still have a February 1st deadline for the Feinberg Family Professional Fund. So if you are thinking about doing an internship and you are eligible for academic internship credit, I highly recommend going to that page and applying. All right, so research and prepare. The 4th out of the 5th step. How will you set yourself up to succeed? What's your professional image? Have you gone to the career services? Talk to your career coach. Have you had them do your documents, your resume, look over your resume and your cover letter? Have you worked with the digital dirt interns in career services and looked at your online presence, LinkedIn? Did you attend our LinkedIn sessions about how to create your online presence here in Imagine 2021? Your written communications. How are you going to be reaching out to employers? What are you saying in those emails? Do you have those ready, or are you just going to wing it? Who are you talking to? Make sure that you know those written communications, and or you're making sure that they're situational based on your communications with a specific individual. Who are the prospective sites? Do you have a list of sites that can help you to obtain an internship that you're interested in? For example, Tiffany knew that she wanted to be doing a certain type of work for her internship, so she sought out an organization that made sense to be helping her accomplish those projects and tasks and goals. And again, that might be an area that you need assistance in, and we are able to assist you with that. Finding the sites that could be prospective or sites that we know might have alum, using the Alumni Sharing Knowledge Program, the ASK program through Alumni and Development is a very great program to be finding alum that work in industries that you're interested in. And we've had many internships come to fruition from working with those alum. Meet the priorities and know that your priorities are being met or could be met by a prospective site. It's very important as you're making your list of organizations that you're going to reach out to make sure that it's at least possible that they could say yes to creating an internship with you. I oftentimes will even have students ask if they can include me on those emails. That's fine as well. Organize your information. Organize your information. One more time for the people in the back. organize your information. Who, what, when, where, and what next. You should have whether it's a Google Sheet or an Excel sheet or a written notebook, whatever it is that you use to organize, keep track of everything you do, everyone you talk to, when you talk to, and what you're going to do next to drive it forward. Because if you don't have a plan for what's next, never assume that someone's going to get back to you. There are ways that we can talk to you too about the appropriate amount of time before reaching out again, the appropriate method or communication you should have to reach out if you haven't heard back from someone. The important part about that is to know that everyone's going to be different and everyone's going to have a different process. But in the end, be prepared. It's really important. Okay. If you haven't seen Lion King and you don't know this reference, then I'm going to be really upset, but that's okay. So the last stage is be outgoing. Oh, I'm sorry. Fourth out of fifth is be outgoing. How will you connect? Find your way in. Make sure, are you calling? Are you emailing? Are you showing up to a site post-pandemic? The different companies, they all have different methods. Just like we talked about before, the different industries have different methods. Out of the box method, inbox method. You might be surprised in terms of all the different people. You might be reaching out to an HR rep. You might be reaching out to, I like to call a site supervisor. You might be reaching out to administrative staff of an organization. You never know who you're going to be talking to or where you're going to end up. So keep track of the people, because the other thing you need to remember as you're talking to people, they may or may not have any idea what you're talking about an internship. So as you're talking to people, remember that they are people, okay? Talk to them in a way that logically makes sense. Try to explain. Don't write a book, but make sure that you're being concise and articulate about the things that you're looking to gain. Perhaps some of the ways that you could, the relationship for an internship could mutually benefit the organization. There are a lot of ways that you are able to kind of discuss with the site. And a key word there is discuss with the site the potential to create an internship. And my last point here is, if at first you don't succeed, if you reach out to 10 internship sites and you don't hear from 5, and then the other 3 say no, and you're left with 2 internship sites that are conversing with you, that's a win. All right. The more companies you reach out to, the better. The stronger the relationship that you build first before asking for an internship or asking to create an internship, the better. If you're a freshman watching this right now, start building your relationship now for junior year. I promise you, you will likely end up, it's really hard for me to almost guarantee at that point. If you're building a relationship now as a freshman with an organization, you're probably going to get an internship by junior year. All right. Last step here is communicate. Like I said before, there are a lot of people that need to be aware that you're looking to do an internship. It's very important. Your site, your supervisor that you're creating the internship with, myself as your internship coordinator in the Excel office. Have you spoken with your advisor about your intent to complete an internship so that they're guiding you and when you should be doing an internship? Have you talked to your faculty sponsor, which is the person who actually sponsors you for an internship within your department or minor, to be making sure that you're doing like academic assignments, correlating it back to learning objectives and goals, which quite frankly, if you're creating your own internship, you probably already have your learning outcomes and goals thought of, which is great because it sets you up for this internship stuff for credit later on. Other aspects, financial aid, extended learning. The reason I mentioned these two, are you doing a summer internship? Are you doing an internship and maybe you're a part-time student and you need to think about financial aid for your internship credit, or summer aid, or you, like me, for example, I took internship credit. And I took a class over summer, and similar to an internship, I paid for summer credit. And the year before I did that, I worked with financial aid to be able to split up my aid across fall, spring, and summer so that I could utilize part of my aid to be covering tuition credits. Extended learning oversees a lot of areas for the off terms like winter and summer. So there's someone that we are collaborating with to a certain degree that might have certain information if you have questions about just, again, registration for summer and winter. And we work with them again on when you can expect like a whole bunch of different information regarding the off-season internships. So there are a lot of players when it comes to internships, and I just want you to be aware of that, okay? So what I want to leave you with is actually a quote from I shouldn't say my favorite movie because it's a TV show that comes from one of my favorite movies. If anyone sees Cobra Kai lately on Netflix, I'm a huge Karate Kid fan, which shows my age, but that's okay. And Daniel in Cobra Kai says this to one of the students: "You know who you are, and now all you have to do is visualize what you want your future to look like and make it happen. It is the truth. You are able to do it. You can get from point A to point B and have the internship that you want. And just, again, take everything that we've talked about here and try to make it happen for yourself. And the worst that happens is you learn something and use it in the future." So if you want to find us, we are the Excel office, Experiential Courses and Engage Learning. Follow us on Insta, Facebook, and our website if you want to contact us at any point. I really appreciate you listening tonight. Here is my contact information as well if you'd like to connect further on your internship goals or you have questions about anything that I discussed tonight. And I believe, Christine, we might have had some questions come through that I'd be happy to answer.
Yes, we sure did. Thank you so much, Tina and Tiffany. This was an amazing session, and we are so thankful that you guys were able to join us today. Talk all about things, internship, those that already exist, but also ones that we can create to prepare for those occupations that possibly don't exist yet. So that is awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so scrolling back, I know that we had a couple questions in the chat. Let me find those. All right, here was a question. How many percent, what percent chance do you think an international student with a computer science major can land an internship this summer?
Okay, that's a good question. I will tell you, percent chance isn't something that I'm feasibly able to give you from a STEM perspective. I don't have data to be able to put together to give you a feasibility on that, because it's not just a matter of major and not just a matter of international student status. And it's also a matter of what are you doing to prepare yourself to be competitive when you do apply for those things. If you are a computer science major that has a higher end GPA, that is a go-getter, takes initiative. You are preparing yourself by talking to your career coach, who's Christine Barkley, by the way, and getting her to work with you to search for some positions. We do have quite a few internships in Handshake that are in that area. For summer specifically, I will tell you that's the most common area in computer science for them to be recruiting in the summer. Most of those opportunities do happen in the summer. Those extra projects tend to be completed in the summer by those types of organizations. We have the ability to offer co-op too. So if you are a student in computer science, you should be looking at anything that is labeled internship or co-op for summer. Many of the organizations that we have in Handshake do list that they are able to take students with international student status as well. So if you are an international student and you have not spoken with Sheila Cooley in my office and your international advisor, who I'm not sure, I mean, I know many students have Maria Kopnitsky as their advisor. If you have another advisor in that department as well, make sure you're talking to those two people, because it's really important that you start planning now for that. But I will tell you, it is very common for our international students in computer science to be completing summer paid opportunities in that area.
Thanks so much, Tina. And Logan, I will add to that point. We had a session last night with the guest speakers from Handshake, Career Shift, and LinkedIn. So if you weren't able to join us last night for that session, I'll go ahead and have Jackie throw the link to week 4 of Imagine 2021 in the chat. The recording for this session isn't up yet. It takes a while. The files are pretty large, if you can imagine. So that will be up probably no later than Monday, but the recording of that session is each of those guest speakers going through and showing students how to search for opportunities with those 3 tools. So last night was kind of focused on opportunities that already exist and how to use those tools. And then obviously Tina went in a little bit more depth of that tonight, and then also discussed kind of creating those opportunities. So definitely feel free to check out that link in that recording if you are searching for opportunities that are existing. And I also want to let just our general participants and students know that our virtual resource center will be up and running, I believe next week or the week after, with our peer navigators, which are our student staff that help with reviewing resumes and cover letters. And they can also kind of answer questions and help you start to maybe set up some of those searches in Handshake, Career Shift, and LinkedIn. So definitely make an appointment with our virtual, with our peer navigators or attend our virtual resource center. You don't have to have an appointment for that. You can definitely just drop in.
And one of the other points too for all international students too, Christine, and I know you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do feel like you are, I mean, with your leading the event too, in Handshake, you have a list with our upcoming spring career fair, where you have the list of Career Services has a list of the organizations that are able to recruit for international students.
Yes.
So that's for all majors. That's not just for computer science or STEM. That's for all majors. Any of the employers that do indicate that in their postings in Handshake before the career fair, Career Services will have that information for you.
Yes, we definitely do. Thanks for that. All right, looking through the chat again, I don't see any other questions coming in. Students, if you have questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat now or throw them in the Q&A. I know we're a couple minutes over, but we do have time. I will ask Tina and Tiffany to stay on for any last minute questions, but go ahead and throw those in the chat now so we can get to those before we go ahead and end our session. Give you a quick second if you're typing to get your question in last minute.
You can email me if you don't want to put it in, that's okay. I understand. I know they're there though.
Also, I think Tina made a really good point earlier. If you don't know who your career coach is, the career coaches are separated by industry. While Tina is the internship coordinator at the institution, we do have various career coaches that work across different industries that all work very closely with Tina. So please feel free to check out our career coach page and figure out who your career coach is so that you can work with them if need be. Okay, so Logan said, if I want to plan an internship this summer, when should I make an appointment with Career Services to plan it?
Now. Go on right now. Jackie, drop that link.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, now is a great time. If you're trying to find one for summer, I will tell you, depending on your industry, there's a range that a lot of times we'll see when employers start posting for things, but honestly, there's a rule of thumb for each industry on when employers will post their summer internships, but we will still see internships post anywhere from this past September all the way through May or June for their summer internships, depending on industry and the type of company. So if you are trying to find an internship, now's a great time to start, especially before you start getting into your first few weeks of classes and you start seeing all of the work that you have to do for classes.
And Logan, I will say too, for all of the students that are on the call, you do not need to meet with a career coach or with Tina to start your internship search. Right. That session from yesterday, if you watch that session and you set up saved searches in Handshake, Career Shift, and LinkedIn, and you use our virtual resource center to get your resume and cover letter reviewed, you may be okay with just that. You may not need to meet with a career coach. I just say that because some of our availability can be limited, so you don't need to meet with a career coach or with Tina to start your internship. And actually, I would encourage you not to do that. I would encourage you to view that session recording when it's posted on Monday and to start your search. And then if you run into problems or you need, additional one-on-one assistance, definitely make an appointment as well, because we definitely are here. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up, seeing that we don't have any more questions. I just want to say thank you so much to both Tina and Tiffany for this amazing webinar session today. Your insight and tips that you provided with our students are going to be extremely helpful for them, and hoping they will create their own opportunities that directly align with their career goals and where they'd like to go. If you're thinking about working for yourself someday, or you're thinking that entrepreneurship may be in your career path, we have a session tomorrow night called Is Entrepreneurship in Your Career Path? Irene Scruton, the Assistant Dean and Director of our MBA programs here at SUNY Oswego in the School of Business, will be joining us with an alumni and a student that participated in our Launch It program. So if you're interested in joining us for that, I'll go ahead and have Jackie throw the link to that in the chat. It can also be found on our Imagine 2020 website. So if you don't grab it before we end the session, feel free to head over to the webpage and that information will be there as well. Thank you again to Tiffany and Tina. We hope you enjoyed this session, and have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.